go. Here we go. Yes, everybody, I am back once again. Unshakeable Conversations with Kenneth, Allen, Thomas, and I got a very special guest. I got my dog in here today, y'all. I got my dog in here today. You know, Mr. Mike Hill is in the building now. Some of y'all may or may not know him, but listen, if you don't know him, you're going to get to know who he is and what he's been through. I'm inspired to listen to his story in full. I've been able to watch from a social media lens and see what he's been able to do so far and learn a little bit about his story. You guys know that we bring on people that are an inspiration. We bring on real people that got real stories, you know, to give y'all real, facts about life and how to really get through it. Not necessary to fluff on, no shade to anybody or whatever on how to get this and get that, but we actually go through practical steps, real things or whatever that that's going to inspire you. It's going to help you grow. Because it's all about growth at the end of the day. I believe that if you're not growing, then you're just going to be a stagnant plate. That's just what it is at the end of the day, right? So, with that being said, y'all, let me hit that drop real quick.
You are now listening to another
Unshakeable Conversation
with Kenneth, Allen, Thomas.
My man, Mike Hill, welcome to the show, my brother. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, bro. I appreciate it. Look, this is amazing. I've been on podcasts, and I like the energy. I like where we going. But yeah, definitely excited to be here, excited to share, excited that, we serve the same God, so we want to talk some cash. And I like the way you rock, like, with your conversation, people are able to, I feel people don't really give God a chance because they think they got to change. And I think I've been aligning with people who are just authentically them. So I think this is going to be a good thing.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be awesome, man. Now listen, I'm at a point in my life, right, where I'm unashamed in my walk. You know what I'm saying? I'm letting it be known. I wear my faith on my sleeve. I wear my faith on my heart, and people understand that. You know what I mean? And I'm not afraid really to say no to certain opportunities if it's going to compromise, my faith, compromise my eternity at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And me, that. Like where I come from and where we probably come from the same type of areas and everything in life, it's kind of shunned upon in a sense, like a lot of people may be embarrassed and everything by their faith if they got their faith in God and things of that nature. But there's really nothing to be ashamed of. And once you put that armor on, it's a different thing. I've noticed this. I'll start the conversation here real quick and we're going to jump into your story. But I've noticed this, when you are a man of God, when you're a man of faith, people look at you not only differently, they just have like some form of a higher respect, even from how they speak, right? Like, for example, I got clients that may have like, me cuss like a sailor. You know what I'm saying? Right. Once they around me, if they let it slip out, they immediately check themselves. And they're like, oh, like, my bad. Like, I ain't mean to like let that slip out or anything like, so it's like a certain level because let it be anybody else, probably just gonna let it ride. But let it be a man of faith or a man of God or woman of God, and people are going to automatically check themselves, even though they may not be, in that walk, per se. Let me know, have you ever experienced, anything like that in your walk?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, man, because a lot of people think, I got to change me before I can, do any work or walk in my purpose with God. And I felt the same way. Right. I felt like, I'm not where I need to be. So I'm going to just continue to do what I do. But then as I continued or I started saying, you know what, man, like this ain't even about me. So I got to get me out the way. Forget being perfect. Just be who you are, Right. And I found myself, as a youngin', I cursed a lot. I mean, as an adult, I cursed a lot. And I found myself like, going through life and eventually like, I ain't cursed in like a month. You know what I'm saying? It just started getting to a point where it's like, it just kind of, the closer I got with God, the more my vocabulary shifted, the more responsible I was with my tongue. I don't even think, to be honest, I got a different perspective. Like, I don't think cursing is like the worst thing. I think sometimes saying can't is worse than a curse word. Like we tell our kids, don't say that's a bad word, but they say, I can't do this. And we allow them to say, I can't. Then they grow up not believing that they're possible, right? Which kind of conflicts with, I can do all things. But to your point, yes, you know, when people talk around me, you know, they might slip up, they, oh, my bad. And I literally be like, you good, bro. Like, who am I to judge?
Right.
You gotta be who you are now, right? And be okay with that, knowing that I'm accepted, you know, just as I am. When we, and I don't, here's the thing about me, like I go, my church is so dope because there are no rules. There are no, there's no like religion, if you will. Like you gotta be a certain way to, like, after I hit the hill, I go to church. So if it's snowing, if it's raining, if I come to church, dirty pants, sweat, whatever, I lift up my hands and I praise God. I come as I am, right? And so, yeah, I've experienced it, and I still experience it. And at times, I think people are starting to feel comfortable around me where they don't have to necessarily change how they speak, but just being in a space of growth, I feel like I want to provide that for people. It helps them change their language regardless, right? Like
So
they
good.
start, yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Ethan.
For a second there. There we go. There we go. Yeah. No, I think that's so good. That's so good, man. Like, I feel that, you know, in the same space, that the more we walk, right, the more people are going to end up transforming because of what they see on the inside of us. Not necessarily like the flesh of what they see, right? They don't necessarily see Kenneth Thomas. They don't necessarily see Mike Hill, but they see the God in you. And that causes, you know, people to be a little curious, right? Like, it's that thing inside you, right? Because it can't be denied at this, right? It can't be denied. Like, I oftentimes, me as a personal development coach, I oftentimes ask this question to my clients. I say, what shows up when you do? What qualities do you bring into the room, right? When I ask that question, it makes people think kind of deep. Like, man, wait a minute, what does show up when I do? Because I know for me, when I walked into the room, faith just walked into the room. When I walked into the room, leadership just walked into the room. When I walked into the room, you know what I mean, a father, you know, obedience just walked in. These things just walked into the room. For the listeners out there, I want y'all to really think about that, right? What shows up when you do? What qualities do you bring into the ring, right? Because if you're somebody that's embarked on a life of, you know, drama, hate, you know, demonic things of that nature, then more than likely when you walk into the room, you're bringing that type of energy or whatever in there.
Yeah.
But if you change the way that you are, if you go along this walk and maybe you've been through some things in life, like I'm about to ask my man Mike here, you know, then that starts to shift, that starts to change, and people start to see, you know, what's inside that person. So Mike, I asked this question, you know, it didn't start to where you're at now, right? But take us back a little bit, you know, and tell us a little bit about yourself on, you know, how you got to this point on who is Mike Hill, what is dog culture, where does that come from?
Yeah. I want to answer that question real quick before we go there. So like I was thinking, like, what shows up in the room when I walk in the room, and the only thing I could think of was dog shows up. You know what I'm saying? Just like you see somebody, right? Oh, he done been through some things, and he gonna be willing to go through more. Like knowing where I want to go in life, I'm ready to attach myself to whatever pain that's associated with it. And I feel like my dog, this is actually my real dog, to be honest, that I have for 13 years. He just passed away in January. And one of the hardest things I've had to deal with, because it's like kind of like my son. And he's seen me through my whole story, which we're about to talk about. And I just knew, like, when he was around, it wasn't like, he was about business. You know what I'm saying? And he would be willing to die to protect the thing that he loved the most. And I think when I show up, I want that to show up with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but different. Like, kind of like how David used to pull up and they like, he's a warrior. You know what I'm saying? Don't care about nobody else. Just know I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to ride for what I believe in. So I think I like that. I like that a lot, man. Yeah. And so my story. Where do we start? So I grew up playing football. Like, that was my thing. Like, I'm a football player at 7 years old. I told my mom, I said, I want to go to the NFL. I've played since I was 7. And in the beginning, I didn't really get it. But it was the weirdest thing. My mother tells a story about I used to come home and point to my bruises. Like, Mom, look at this one. Look at that one. And I was so like excited about what came with the game of football because it started to make me a tougher kid. My pops was always like, that's my role model, right? Marine guy, tough, always fighting, always like handling his business. I'm like, I want to be like my pops. But I was built like my mom's, like the loving this kid, didn't want no beef with nothing, didn't want to fight. And I felt like I'm not the man. Of course, I'm a kid, but I'm not like starting out the right path to be this person I want to be. And so I started playing football, and football started to show me like, yo, you can, this thing, like you're behind a mask and nobody can see you. You can be who you want to be on the field. And I started to learn like, okay, off the field, you know, I was kind-hearted, but on the field, I could be a monster. And it was legal and it was okay. So I started to fall in love with this game that allowed me to be my pops on the field, because off the field, I was too afraid to be that person. But football gave me like the outlet to be like, yo, it's time. So I started to fall in love with the game. And so I go through high school, and I'm like one of the best guys on my team as a youngin'. I get to high school and I don't play. And now I'm like, all right, well, I want to go to the NFL, but I'm not starting, right? So I went from starting my whole life. So I say, look, wait no more. So now I get to like my first role, but I quit. I think this is what created dog culture, this right here. And I tell my father, I was like, yeah, I don't want to play no more. And he's like, why? I said, cause man, I ain't playing, and you know, I don't want to play. Just trying to in my feelings. And he sat me down, man, and he was like, look, you a hill. When we start something, we finish it. Simple and plain. Like we sat and we talked for like an hour, and at the end of the day, he was like, you gonna finish what you started. And so I get back on the team. Well, I never left, but I go back to practice, and I'm kind of just pouting and moping. My team is winning, and I don't really know how to deal with it because I'm not contributing. Lo and behold, I keep going, still don't play sophomore year, junior year. Senior year come up, and I'm like, I have to play or I can't go to college. In order to get to the league, you got to go to college. And so now I say, Mom, I got to get a trainer. If I'm going to do this thing, like I have to get faster. I'm a good football player. I'm just not fast. So we get a trainer, and I find this trainer, and the first day I get out there, he had me pull this sled down and back, and I throw up. I just throw up because I've never done anything like this before. And he said, well, I see you tomorrow. So here's the second roadblock, or the crossroad. It's like, all right, am I willing to do this to get that? And this was just the warm-up. And I had to make a decision. I said, I'll be here. So now we start going down the road. I'm working with this guy almost 5-6 days a week. Every workout, he is so extreme that after the warm-up, I don't want to finish. And so now he starts to show me something. I start throwing up every workout. And then after the throw up, he's like, all right, get up. We got the second half of the workout. I'm like, what is wrong with this dude? And so now I started to learn like, oh, once I get past my breaking point, I got more. Right? So he was showing me like, your body might feel like it's over, but mentally, since you know that we got another hour of work to get to, like another hour of work left, you gotta do it. Like there's no way out of this. So you're gonna have to find whatever you need to find to get through it. So now, like fast forward, I become, start running back on my team, get a scholarship to Duquesne University. And now I've developed this dog that we start hearing about, right? Can you hear me? You still good?
Yeah.
Okay. So I developed this dog, and it's like, okay, he's shown me something about myself that I didn't know was there. He's shown me that I can push my body to the limits. And when I feel like I'm dying, when I feel like I'm quitting, as long as I get out this throw up or whatever that has to come out of my system, I can elevate my play. And so I started to get to a point where I stopped throwing up, and I felt the sweet spot. Like it would be a little point in the workout. I was like, all right, you about to pass out. It is like, all right, so now let's go to the next level. And I started to find that I can keep tapping in to this thing called inner desire, which now I talk about being a dog, that can push me to a point to do what's required to get what I want from the situation. So I start like really honing in on grinding. And so now my whole life, Monday through Sunday, I'm working out, I'm training. I get to college, go for running back. And then the second day or second week of camp, my coach is like, hey, you're going to defense. And I'm like, what is going on? Because I thought I was going to be the best running back to ever play the game. So now, high school, Pop said you don't quit. Can't call my dad because he's not going to let me come home. And I'm at a point where, like, I've worked so hard to get here. I'm talking about I had no speed, bro. And the effort and the tears and the pain that I had to go through for that whole year to become one of the fastest guys on my team. And now I felt like I deserve to play running back. It's being snatched away from me. And I'm like, yo, what is going on with my life? So now I say, all right, well, what do you do? I wanted to quit. I wanted to leave. It took me like a week to like really understand that there's no way out of this, bro. So I get to it. I start as a freshman. I'm on defense now, and I'm like, no, you just got to do what you got to do. So I said, well, since I really don't have a choice, I have to make the best out of what I have. And so I start holding in on, okay, if I'm going to play defense, how do I become the best defensive player? I get moved to safety, and I'm like, oh, I can do this. Like, I can run through somebody's face because I seen Brian Dawkins do it. I seen Steve Atwater do it. And I'm like, okay, I like this position. Here's where that dog comes in, right? So I'm not a good tackler or run through your face guy. I'm like missing tackles. I'm like, how do I become that? So I asked one of my guys, I say, hey, and I'll never forget, Timmy Pritchett. I say, can you teach me how to do what you do? And he was like knocking dudes out left and right. And he was like, nah, I can't really teach you. Can't teach you that. In order to run through a man's face, you got to want to do that. Like, that's want to. There's no technique to running through a man's face to taking a man's soul. That's all want to. And so, all right, I'm like, all right, well, I know what it took to want to be fast. I know what it took to want to go to college. And now in order to get to the NFL, it's going to take something different to actually run through a man's face. Now, I told you, I didn't like confrontation. So when I played running back, I got the boogie and get away from the people. I didn't even like blocking because I ain't want like no beef. So I'm like, I got to go against everything that I'm not in order to become everything I want to be. So I start just trying it out. I said, look, bro, if you want to go to the league, you're going to have to learn how to run through a man's face. And it slowly but surely started like developing the ability to not care, to fly around and really run through whatever was in my way. And then now it's like, in my head, it's like, yo, there's no technique to being a dog, bro. This is all about what you want and are you willing to do what it takes, even if it costs you everything. And so I would find myself pulling guards, 6'4", 290 pounds. Boom, I'm running through their face. And I started to develop like, I am so unstoppable because I believe that I cannot be stopped. And now, mind you, this was like coupled with my faith. So now we're talking, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I'm praying before game, like, God, this is the game where they feel me. This is the game when the scouts see me. This is the game where I take my level of play to. I used to write down what I was going to do. About 90% of what I wrote down would come to pass. And I'm like, oh, God, we good. Like, so I put the work in. I trust you. But I also was on some religious stuff. I won't do nothing bad, right? And I'll get to the NFL. Fast forward. I ended up, graduating, one of the best guys that played at my school. The people have told me that. With the Redskins in 2006. So they did the opportunity. I'm like, that was good enough to make it. What knew that I was good enough. So I get to the Skins, rookie mini champ, 2007, doing my thing. Ended up getting cut, right? And so they said, hey, I need you to go get some film. I was about 225 at the time. Officially, they said I was 5'9". I'm definitely 6 foot. I believe But they was like, look, we need you to drop a little weight. And so I dropped the weight. I get to playing arena football. First year, defensive player of the year, runner up. Second year, I'm balling. And slowly but surely, like every day at practice starts to become a little uncomfortable. And so I get to a point where it's like I'm itching really bad under my shoulder pads. I got dreads at the time, right? My hair is itching, my body's itching. I'm like starting to like not like going to practice. Like I know where I want to go. I know I gotta get to the NFL. I need to put this film on tape. But now like I'm very uncomfortable playing the game that I love so much. Not only that, I'm having these night sweats. And this is 2010, right? I'm having these night sweats, and I'm sleeping with the fan on and the heater. So I'm hot because I don't know why. So I get these night sweats, but then the night sweats make me cold. So now I'm like dealing with two temperatures at night. My pops is mad, like, oh, you got the heater and the fan on. My body's itching, so my mom is scratching my back for hours until I go to sleep. So this thing started happening, and it ain't stopped for like a year. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm itching. And not only that, now I'm very tired. And so I started going to these hospitals trying to figure out, like, what's going on with my body? And they said, hey, maybe, it's a dermatology thing. Maybe, change your soap up and you work out a lot. Maybe you should rest more because I'm falling asleep behind the wheel, just like very fatigued. Then it gets to a point where I'm working out and I get this pop in my neck, right? Big pop in my neck. And I think nothing of it because I felt like I just strained a muscle because it was a lot of weight on the bench. And so I just let it ride. But eventually I get so uncomfortable in my skin that I have to retire from this game that I love. And so I get to a point, it's like, is this it for me? And I don't know why I can't play the way I want to play. I don't know why I can't really be comfortable playing the game I love, but it got to a point where I'm in tears now. So like my knuckles, I don't know if you can see, but my knuckles turned like really white. I would scratch my knuckles on these metal chairs at night, and I'm scratching and I'm sweating and I'm uncomfortable and I'm going crazy in my mind. So I'm captain on the team. I go talk to my squad, say, look, bro, I was going, I had fell in love with the game. So I'm like, sound while I'm talking to them. And, they booing me or whatever. Some guy, but I'm just like, shit. And so I'm going to these hospitals now, but I'm a little depressed because why would you quit? Like, as you know, my father said we don't quit when we start something. So I've had the opportunity to quit my whole life, and I chose to stick to it. So now I felt like, I'm quitting on my dream, but my body can't take this game no more. I don't know why that when I put on these shoulder pads, my entire life feels like it's like going downhill. And I'm talking mentally. And not only that, when I go outside now in the sun, my body like starts itching. I can't go in the sun. So I'm just like, all right, well, I'm gonna just hang it up. And so I'm going to these hospitals trying to figure out what's going on. And what I didn't what I didn't tell you guys that I had asthma as a child, right? And so having asthma or being labeled an asthmatic put me in a place where I always had my inhaler on. So that summer I talked about me becoming a faster athlete so I can play my senior year, I had an asthma attack, refused to use my, because I said, I cannot allow this inhaler to be the thing that I rely on when I'm in a game and I just make a big run and somebody else come in and got to eat off my plate. I can't keep relying on this external source to get me through a day, to get me through a workout, to get me through a game. And so in that moment, 17 years old, asthma attack, dust all in the air, and my trainer's like, just take your inhaler. I'm like, nah, I can't. And so I now start breathing on my own. And I'm like, wait a minute, bro. They told me if I had an asthma attack, I would die. And so now I get to a point where understanding, like, I agreed with what they told me. So I had what they told me. But now I don't agree to the fact that I'm an asthmatic anymore. So I'm not using this inhaler. So I stopped using my inhaler from my junior summer up until this point where my body is going crazy. Now it's to the point where I can't breathe. It's New Year's Eve, 2020, and I cannot breathe, and I'm looking for my inhaler. I'm like, I ain't using it in like 10 years, but if I can use it now, maybe it can help me out.
Right.
And my mom is like, hey, I think you should just go to the hospital. Because normally as a kid, when I would have like colds, I would have an asthma attack, go to the hospital, get on the breathing machine, go home. So I was like, yeah, I think I should too. Because now I'm like very small breath. I'm actually sick at the moment. I think I had the flu. So this is all like everything that's happening in my body along with the asthma and the sickness. And like, let's just go get some type of relief. Mind you, it's been a year of this. So I said, let's just do it. So I go to the hospital, get on the breathing treatment. Everything feels great. I feel better. And before I leave, because they were about to discharge me, I just asked the nurse. And I tell my wife all the time, I was flirting, of course, because I was like, hey, can you check my neck out? You know what I'm saying, a little sore. But I had a knot in my neck, which I thought was just a strained muscle. So she touched it. It got really big. She got concerned. She went to go get a second opinion. They came back. They're like, hey, we got to take a biopsy. Cool. Whatever that is. I didn't know what that was. So they admit me. They take the biopsy. Later, the team of doctors walk in. Hey, we got your results, and you've been diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I'm like, stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. Still not really, it's not ringing a bell that I don't know what it is. I said, okay, so what do I got to do? So whatever I need to do, let me know so I can go do it, so I can start feeling better. Yeah, I don't think you understand. What you have is a form of cancer. It's in the last stage, so we got to act fast, right? And so now I'm like, now the cancer, like I've heard of it. You know what I'm saying? My auntie, she passed away from breast cancer like 10 years ago. Like, I've heard of cancer, but like there's no way I can have cancer. 1, I'm a personal trainer. 2, I eat healthy. 3, I'm a football player. I'm in the best shape of my life. And now I'm not really coming to grips with what this doctor is saying. Wow. And so I kind of just blank out, and I'm staring. And I feel my mom. I feel the worrying. And it's just me and her. And so I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, nah, bro. Like, nah, because I was like, I did everything right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I worked out. I trained hard. I didn't quit on my dream. I got moved around. I made the best out of my situation. I wasn't smoking. I wasn't drinking in college, second half of college. I wasn't having sex. Like, I was doing everything right. So how?
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, can't be, bro. And my mom, she leaves out. I know she's crying. She comes in trying to be strong for me. And so now I'm like, all right, bro. So what do we do? What do we do? What have we learned along the way? We've learned this. We learned life is going to happen. And you got one choice. You finish. Because there is no quitting. There is no there is no stopping. There is no throwing in the towel, because I've learned from this point, from my father and everything that I've been through, you finish. Like, you become this football player that's willing to sacrifice his life for a tackle. You finish. Like, you called yourself a dog from the point your senior year up until you was with the NFL, arena football. You've been labeled this dog. So now it's time to really be who you say you are. And so it's like, all right, well, my motto when I played football as a safety was kill or be killed. Like, that was my thing. Like, if I don't do it to them, they're going to do it to me. So now it's like, all right, cancer, kill or be killed. Because now this is a real life scenario of kill or be killed, because if I don't, I will die. Here's the thing about the person we want to become and who we call ourselves. I always liken the movie 300.
Yeah.
When Leonidas was like, the Immortals, will put their name to the test. And it's like anytime you call yourself something and you stand on it, you will be tested. You will have a situation in life that says, prove it, right? This was my prove it moment. And I'm like, let's do it. And so I'm taking this chemo. I'm like, do I do it? Do. Oh, 3 weeks into the chemo, like my body started feeling better. This trying to work. Well, it's like you're like doing really well with the chemo. All you got is like 3 months, and you should be good. And then we revisit the situation. So we go on, we taking the chemo. I ain't even losing my arm. I'm like, oh, this is sweet. I ain't losing my head, none of that. And so I get to a point where the chemo was filling up my lungs with fluid. And so I would be in the hospital for like a week taking the chemo. And then my week off, I kind of wanted to rest and chill, and just be normal. Cause now I'm at a point where like everybody knows. Everybody's asking questions. Everybody's calling. Everybody's checking. Are you okay? So my week out the hospital, I just wanted to chill, be normal, sleep, go to the gym, do stuff that I wanted to do. But this fluid buildup in my lungs put me back in the hospital. And so now I'm in the hospital for chemo. And now I'm in the hospital the next week for the fluid. They won't let me out because my blood pressure is too high. So then when I do finally get out, I'm back in the hospital. So this like was a cycle for probably like a month. And I got so like tired, bro. And I said, done. Nah. Somebody told me about a holistic doctor. And they said, man, instead of putting that poison in your body, you can take this route and your body will naturally heal itself. I like that. Tell my doctor, say, look, I'm not coming back. I'm not going to take this chemo no more. One, I'm kind of feeling myself because the symptoms are gone. And I'm like, I got from here, right? And so I'd start, actually, she tells me that. She said, if you stop taking this medicine, you're going to die. She ain't sugarcoated. She didn't care how, like, I'm 24, 25 years old. If you stop taking this medicine, you're going to die. Like, challenge accepted. I said that. Because if I had any thought of not doing it, she just eliminated the thought. Like, she just gave me the green light, like, prove it. All right, bet, watch this. So I start taking this holistic healing. And this is like 3-4 months of it. I'm jumping on trampolines. I'm eating these bitter rocks. I'm changing my diet. No meat. Like, it's strict. It's to the point, and it's a must. Like, you must do everything on this list. So there was no point, and this is why I am who I am today, because there was no, I don't like how this tastes. There was no, I don't feel like it. There was no, like, your life is on the line, bro. You have to do everything that's required in this regimen in order to live. So why I tell people, like, what you feel has no weight on what must be done. Feelings, take your feelings out of the equation. Your life is on the line. Do what you got to do. Feel later. You ain't got time for feelings right now. And so I stuck to the script for 4 months. And I'm like, this is my Super Bowl, right? It's like, look, I got to do what I got to do. My only dream now is to live. And so, like, one day I wake up and I start itching. And I'm like, nah, I can't be. It's just my mind playing tricks on me. It's been like 4-5 months, like, I've been good. Started the night sweats again. I was like, come on, bro. I stop playing. And so about 2 days later, my symptoms are back. Full blown. Itching all over my body. I'm scratching sores in my body. Night sweats, fatigue. And I'm like, damn. So I called my doctor, the holistic doctor. I'm like, hey, this is voicemail. My symptoms are back. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Like, what should I do? Text him, email him. I'm not getting no response. So I just continue to hit him up for like a day or two. And I'm like, yo, what's up with this dude? Because my parents paid the money. Like, we paid him whatever X amount of dollars for his services. to this day, he's never responded to me. Like 2024, he's never responded, never called back, never emailed, never text. He left me to die, bro. And so I'm like, yo, it's no way that I'm trusting in this guy. And once he hears that things aren't going as planned, he bounces.
Wow.
What to do? So I'm like, man, he's not responding. So there's nothing else I can do, whether I trust God, continue to trust God, or go back to the hospital. Like, and people say, you know, I got a lot of questions on my life. Like, why didn't you just not take the medicine and just stand on faith? And I'm like, well, God gave us wisdom too, right? And he also put people in this earth that can assist with things that we must do in life. Like, you don't not eat, right? Like, you're just not going to not eat and say, God will take care of me. Like, you're going to do things that's necessary to, you know, progress you to the goal, right? And so I go back to the hospital. I tell the doctor, and now I got to face the doctor that says, hey, if you stop, you're going to die. So I come back, and I'm like, yeah, I need to get back on this chemo because, you know, the holistic way didn't work. So she accepts. She's like, all right, whatever we do, we do. Back to the chemo, and now my body is like kind of rejecting this chemo. At first, you know, my body was taking it, everything was working, but now like my body is rejecting all the treatments. And now we're going treatment after treatment after treatment, and nothing's changing. Like the lymph nodes are the same size. At first, everything was shrinking. The symptoms are going away. The symptoms are still there. And now they panicking a little bit. So she said, hey, we got this bone marrow transplant. Your father's a half match, so we're going to set you up. What we'll do, we'll hit you with a high dose of chemotherapy. The chemo will knock out the cancer, almost take it away, and then we'll give you your pop's bone marrow, and then it'll do what it's supposed to do. So we're preparing to be in Baltimore at Johns Hopkins for about a month, and they hit me with this high dose of chemo. Come back to my doctor, PET scan. She gets the results. She says, this is bad. And she's like, no, this is bad. And I'm like, what you mean? She's like, it didn't work. And I'm like, well, what's next? And she was like, there is no next. She said, that's it. She said, there's nothing else we can do for you. I'm like, there's no way. There's like, you're a hospital. You have to have something next. Then she goes on and she said, have you ever been on a cruise? And I'm like, come on, Yara. Like, don't do that. So she said, have you ever been on a cruise? And I'm like, yeah, but why are you asking me? She said, maybe you should go on a cruise. Maybe you should go see the world because you ain't got much time. And mind you, I'm 25 years old. NFL, dreams. I ain't even started life yet, bro. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you should go on a cruise and enjoy the sights of the world because your world as we know it, it's about to be over. So, crossroad again. One, I said, in my mind, you can have that cruise. Two, she asked me, we sat in silence for a while, and she asked me, what are you going to do? Thank God for foundation, because my mom introduced me to the church at like a young age, and you don't really know what faith is until it's all you got. You know what I'm saying? And so in that moment, I could have said anything. I said, and this is also coming from a place of not being comfortable talking about God in public. This is 2011, right? Said, I'm gonna just trust God. Like from that, like that was the only thing on my mind, because if they can't do it, and I heard the stories, I heard about the lame, I heard about the child that was just asleep, about the woman with the issue of blood, about all these stories and about the fig tree, I heard about it. Now it was time to write my name in history with them. So if they can't do it, then I just got to stay alive long enough to allow my miracle to come to pass. So now I'm in a place where it's like,
Wow.
like kill or be killed for real. Like now, no doctor, no medicine. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out. I'm going to get as strong as I got to get to endure whatever this cancer is about to do to me, to allow God to say, look, watch this. So this is where I am that now. I'm like, I'm in a war with cancer. No more chemo. Now, mind you, the chemo makes you feel sick as a dog. Like I'm talking about my nails were pussing. My toenails fell off in the bed because of all the nastiness that was underneath it, how weak the skin was. My knees was painful. I'm swollen in my face. And I'm like, no, I'm just about to go to war, bro. Like I'm just about to really endure whatever I got to endure until God says, I am who I say I am. And so I was like, whatever. So I start like, I'm really in the gym lifting. I'm really getting after it. And this is like 2-3 weeks of like knowing that there is no more chemo. Like that, because that's all they said there was nothing else they can do. I'm like, there's nothing else that can help me but my faith. So as I go to the gym, I'm not only working out physically, I'm spiritually working out. I'm talking to God. I'm crying under the weights. Really like warring with myself. It's like, bro, I can't die. And so in order to stay alive, I have to be fully convinced. I heard this all my life. I'm growing up. I started going to like healing seminars, like just hoping that something was about to go down. But in these moments, this was before. In this moment, I'm like, bro, be it unto your faith. Like, so now I have to, nobody can trade me out of this. Nobody can take the cancer away but the one who created everything. So now I'm like, be it unto you. Like he said, according to your faith, bro. So I have to find the strength. I have to really like sit with this word and understand that no matter what happens, I'm going to have to believe. Like, and I think that's the hardest thing, to really believe in something that seems impossible. The doctors say that like all the experts are telling you there's nothing else they can do. There's no other option. Death is around the corner. And I have to go against all these external and physical things that I see with my body and say, but God, somehow, some way, but God. So in here, like that vision I had of myself, I didn't see myself not being here though. Like this whole time, I just kept seeing the future me doing something, right? Like keeping the vision on who I want to become, doing something outside of my current situation. It gets to like 4 weeks in, and I'm going through so much hell now, bro. I'm talking about, you can see these lymph nodes in my chest. Take my shirt off, you can see the lymph nodes under my arm. And I'm just looking like death, like pale, worn out, tired, and walk into my mom's room. I think this might have been the first time. I walk into my mom's room and I just fall down to my knees and start crying. And I'm so overwhelmed with emotion because now the physical is starting to talk louder than the spiritual. And my body is like, we're dying. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt what death probably feels like. And in that moment, I was like, I tried. You know what I'm saying? Like I really was like, I tried my hardest, you know? And so I'm crying in my mom's arms. And that scripture of he'll never put more on you than you can bear. And I feel like we don't give ourselves enough time to endure. We run at the first sight of pain, at the first sign of no. We run from the thing that's supposed to build us. And if we continue to run from it, we'll never actually give the scripture an opportunity to be true. If you're going to walk by faith and not by sight, having done all, therefore just stand. Like if you're not willing to stand, then how do you think the blessing can actually realize if you're not doing what's required for it to actually show up?
Yeah.
And in this moment, I'm like, can't bear it. You said, talking to God, you said that you'll never, and I can't. Like, there's nothing else I can, like, I don't know. So now I'm having this conversation, like, what do you want from me, dog? And so Snoop, my dog, at the moment, I'm walking him, and it's after I leave my mom's room, and I'm crying, and I just look up to God. I'm like, what, bro? I was like, you want me that bad? And take me. And so in that moment, I was like, whatever happens, happens. The next day, we get a phone call. It's like you go until you can't go no more, and you allow what's supposed to happen. The process that it takes to open whatever door is necessary has to be taken, and you have to walk all the way through the process until the process says no. You can't say no. And I felt like I got to my breaking point where it was like, well, I just died it. Like, you're like, because there's no more that you can possibly want from me. Right? And so I get a call and says, hey, NIH says they'll accept you. And so now there is more that they can do for me, right? I just had to endure the part, the unknown part, right? The unknown that says, hey, this is when you die. I had to endure that part and not give up there and allow whatever had to happen. Like, we heard the prayer, for we wrestle not with flesh and blood. We heard the prayer. We was on our way, but as we got on our way, we started the battle and fight, and we heard the prayer. We was coming. We was soon as you prayed, we were coming. But the war started. The war is, let me get you to not believe that it's going to happen. Let me get you to not believe that the victory is already yours. Let me get you to not believe in the truth that you know to be true. If I can get your thoughts, if I can get your mind, if I can get you to not believe in your God, then I got you. Oof. But when you know that you're victorious, you endure whatever's required because you know what the outcome is. We heard the prayer. We was on our way. And then boom, he'll never put more on you than you can bear. Having not all just stand there for. I got to a point, I don't want to jump the gun. So NIH calls, it's something we can do for you. Boom. So I started the trial with NIH. And now I'm walking around chemo. I got my port. I got a fanny pack. I'm walking around chemo in bag 24/7 now.
What's NIH, just for those that don't?
Right. So NIH is the National Institute of Health. And they are a government-funded program hospital that does trials, right? And different protocols. So they don't have like this. So they kind of guinea pigging, right? So, all right, let's try this. Let's try that. And so there's a bunch of trials going on. And so I get to this one trial where it's like chemo 24/7. It's just going to drip into your body. And then once the bag go off, you got to come back, replace the bag. So now I'm waking up Christmas morning in the hospital, Thanksgiving in the hospital. Everything is like that you don't expect that you'll ever, because Christmas, like, I love Christmas. So I just want to be with my family. So now I'm going through this process with NIH, but it's like, whatever I got to do, I'm going to do it. And then they started to get a little leery. They were like, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, so what you telling me, Doc? He was like, well, it's, we've done a lot, right? And I would, quick little segue, I would go in every, like, visit, and he would ask me, are you getting bigger? I was like, Doc, I'm a dog, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lose no weight. I'm not gonna lose no appetite. None of that stuff you telling me that's gonna happen. You about to see something different. I am a dog. So every time he came in, he would be like, so what's going on? I'm like, I'm straight. Like, are you hurting? Are you this? Are you that? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm still going to the gym. He's like, you can't go to the gym. If you go to the gym, your immune system won't be able to fight off any sickness or any virus or any. I was like, they told me I was going to die a while ago. Like, I got to do what I believe to be my way. Because if I listen to you, I might have your results. I have to literally show up as if I'm not sick, because I got to be my future self. Like, I'm not operating in a place where I'm okay, right? I am not what and this is the crazy faith part, because it's like, it's not denial, it's just faith saying that I am not going to alter who I am based on my situation, right?
Yeah.
I cannot stop being who I was called to be just because I'm currently going through a situation that says, hey, cancer is here, right? But it doesn't mean that it's mine. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that I have to succumb to what the cancer is supposed. Like, nah, dog. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna go outside. I'm not gonna hide myself from the world. I'm not gonna stay in the bed. You gotta stay in the bed because, like, no, I can't, bro. I gotta live my life. I have to live my life, because if I do the things that cancer wants me to do, I'm gonna have the result that cancer says I should have. So I do the thing that God puts in my heart. It's like, be normal, because you are. Be healed, because you are. Act as though you are healed. Act like faith. The problem with most folks is we just wait, and we wait on God to bring the miracle.
Yes.
You have to put your feet to the plow
And do it.
Faith without works.
Yeah.
Like, you have to do something. You can't just be like, oh, God got me. Does he? Like, what are you talking about? Free will, meaning I have to actually put things in motion. I have to create a sound of healing, a sound of victory. I have to do something in order to allow him to move on my behalf. God ain't just going to move just because you're praying.
That's right.
Like, come on. All right, I want to be a millionaire. Cool. I'm going to just sit here and do what? Read about it? Or am I going to learn the things I need to learn, put those principles in action, and then allow the opportunity for God to say, yo, go talk to that person. Go put yourself in the environment that's conducive enough for you to grow. So I said, I got to do something. Yeah. So that's what I did, right? And so now Doc like, hey, we got this stem cell transplant, right? Because now he getting a little worried. I could tell from the conversation. I got this stem cell transplant. Only one woman has taken it, but she's 7 years out, and she's living a healthy life. But here's the issue: there's a 50-50 chance that you can live or die. And I'm like that. Why? I'm like looking at her, I'm like, bro, I told you. There was no 50-50, nothing. I'm not going nowhere. Yeah. So now I'm fully convinced. Like, at this point, I'm fully convinced. I don't care what you say. I'm here for the long haul, bro. And so I was like, Doc, let's do it. I don't care. Let's do it. And so here we go. Road the stem cell. And the beauty about the stem cell is that they're my stem cells, right? Everything that I needed was already on the inside of me. You good? I think you're frozen. We good?
Oh, wait, hold up. We good?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Cool. Right. So all right. So stem cell transplant. So I was like, and this is hindsight 2020. Everything that I needed, God already placed on the inside of me. And when I had to sit in a bed for 8 hours. They took this blood, not this blood. They took my blood out my arm, and they ciphered it. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on my end. But yeah, continue. Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. So we're heading to the stem cell transplant. So I got this needle. I got to sit here for 8 hours. They siphon my blood out of my arm into a machine, back into my arm. So they were taking my stem cells out the blood, right? So they taking my stem cells out, and they took them out, and they cleaned them, and they held on to them. So now here's highest dosage chemotherapy ever, is what they tell me. We have to hit you with the highest dosage of chemotherapy ever so we can erase your immune system. So they hit me with the high dose to erase the immune system, and then they take the stem cells and they put the stem cells back into my body, and my stem cells, and here's the 50-50, will either recreate your immune system and build you back up, or it'll fight, and your body will say, hey, this is foreign, and that's the end. And so I'm like, man, I like none of that matters. Let's just do it. You know what I'm saying? Like none of that matters. Let's do it. So now I'm in the hospital before the stem cell transplant. I got to be there for a month. No chemo, no nothing. So now the cancer is like growing exponentially. Like it's growing so big. Yeah, like I'm in tears type pain. And so they got to hit me with Dilaudid like every 4 hours. However, the pain only subsides for 2 hours. And so for that next 2 hours, and this is a month back to back, I'm like, bro, I need something. They're like, we can't. And I'm like, I need it. And so I'm crying. I'm going through. I get hit with the pain meds. I sleep. I wake up. I'm in pain. I start like kind of bargaining with my nurses. I'm like, look, just listen. Like, think, what if it was you? I'm really like trying to help myself. And so they start helping me out a little bit. They start giving it to me maybe an hour earlier. But I'm going through this for like four weeks. No chemo, no nothing. Running around the hospital, shirt off with my little IV, just running, just showing them like I'm so different. Like, I just wanted them to know I'm so different. So then when they find out what makes them different, I can tell them it was my God. And like it was my belief system for me to know that it wasn't over. Like nowhere along the line was it over. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew if I could just endure, right? So now the moment comes, they hit me with the high dose. They erase the immune system. This is 7 days of chemo. So I'm like 7 days, different bags, just dropping and dropping and dropping to the point where it's like, bro, I'm so tired. Like once it's over and they like give me the stem cells back, I think this is maybe a week or two later. All that working out, push-ups, running around the hospital, all that was out the window. I'm like, can't move. And now I'm like, well, at least I made it this far, so now we can do whatever we got to do. And they start telling me like, Mr. Hill, you got to get up because if you don't, you're gonna get blood clots in your leg. And I'm like, I can't move, bro. So now I'm like, all this whole process that I've been through is like I've done so much to get here, and now I feel like I don't want to quit, but I can't move forward because I'm in so much pain that like I'd rather be in this pain than do something else to add more pain. And so I just like with it, the reaction to the medicine, to get cold showers, it erased my immune system, so G-tract system to digest my food. And so, mind you, I've been feeding me again tomorrow when it comes out, the most torturous pain ever. So I was like, I'm not eating. So I stopped eating, only, drinking whatever I could. So now I'm like almost withering away. And they're like, listen, if you don't do something, this will all be for nothing. And so I ended up, like I tell people, and I don't know how I got here, but I ended up like, I was in so much pain that I was like, I'm good. Like for real, literally good. Whatever happens, just fine. And so I actually told my mom, I was like, you can go home. I really was like gracefully, I want you to be here. And in that moment, like she knew what I was trying to do. But the next day I wake up, mom sitting in the hospital, Bible in her hand. And it's just like, bro, she won't let me go. Because I don't know. And I tell people, man, you hear it a lot. Like I would never wish that on nobody, but nobody should have to go through that. And this is why I'm so big on giving back to the children's and at NIH, because I'm actually going there next week. Saw children go through the same thing. That's not fair. Like, that's not fair. I'm cool with me, but that's not fair. I'm like, if they feel what I'm feeling, that is not fair. And it's so I tell mom, I was like, yeah, well, you can just not show up. And so this lady, being the mom she is, she just kept pulling up, man. And so I was like, all right, Gunny. So I'm gonna have to figure out a different plan because I'm not gonna go out in front of her. So I'm gonna have to use her. So I said, you're gonna have to attach your fight. You're gonna have to attach your dog to your mother. In that moment, and at that time of my life, my mother was the most important person to me in the world. I knew that if I died, it would break her. So I said, let's not die. Let's fight for her. And this is why I talk about what's your why. Because in that moment of me wanting to give it up, I found strength in something greater than me, a mother's love. I found strength in knowing that if I can attach myself to moms, I can find the strength to fight. The strength that I didn't want to have for myself, I couldn't find it for myself because, I felt sorry for myself in the moment. It was like, man, what, a good race. But now, like, I can find her. And so the move, she wasn't leaving. I was like, let's just do it for her. I don't know it was happening in the moment, but every go, I would do more and more. Like the support system was so important because now I'm fighting for something that has nothing to do with me. And so I attached my dog, my reason for living, to my mother. So now if I attach my reason to her, I can find the strength to do whatever it is they need me to do because now it's not about me. And so I start like mustering up the strength. I start eating. I start doing all these things. I'm like, wow, like she saved my life. Yeah. Like my mother not being willing to quit on me allowed me to find strength not to quit on her. And she's the reason why I was able to fight through the process of getting back to health. I even told God in the moment, I said, whether I live or die, you're still good.
Yeah.
And then that allowed me to not focus on the outcome, not focus on if I don't see this, then I'll stop believing. Not focus on, am I doing the right thing? Because now the end result doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is who I'm becoming within this process, how my faith is building, the person that I'm like growing into, despite of what happened. So now it's the moments that I'm embracing now, right? I'm not focusing on living or dying. I said, look, I'm gonna trust you regardless. And if I do not make it, you're still on the throne. So I'm not tripping. I'm not tripping on like the day to day. Cause that's the thing. Like we believe in God for something. And then when like we get fired or we lose this or we lose that, and then we lose faith. And it's that we stop trusting, like, dog, whatever you're going through, you need it. Apparently, whatever this is, you need all of this. So once you get there, you can become that guy or that girl. So I said, apparently, this has nothing to do with feelings. This has nothing to do with outcome. This has everything to do with becoming. So as I go and I say, regardless of what happens, I'm going to trust you anyway. And then I had the conversation. I said, you about to find out if I believe, and I'm about to find out if it's real. And that's why my relationship with God is what it is now, because now I know that he will never leave you nor forsake you. It just doesn't always look comfortable. It just don't feel as good as it sounds. Because it sounds great. He'll never leave you nor forsake you. Oh, cool. He'll always be in my corner. However, the feeling of that doesn't feel as good as we expect it to. Like we expect like being like first it was 2 sets of foot. We expect to be as you being carried, you might be being carried through hell. You know what I'm saying? And you might still be going through as he's carrying. Like the pain is still there. You just not on your own. You know what I'm saying? And so now I'm at a point where like, oh, like I'm cracking some codes here. Like I'm starting to understand like I'm bigger than my situation. My situation seems big because the world has been telling me how devastating and how undefeated cancer is. And I'm like, I serve a guy who saw me through that though. So you can take your undefeated and I take my undefeated any day and we can lock horns. So now I get to a point, I take this stem cell transplant, I'm out of the hospital, I'm back to life. And now it's like, yo, I made it. And how? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did we get here? You endured, right? Even though you threw the towel in, even though you quit, even though you did all that craziness that went against everything that you said you were, you got back up.
Yeah.
Right? And the thing about, of course, it's gonna feel like you're gonna want to quit sometime. You might even literally quit sometime. But if you get back in the fight, it was just like it was not necessarily you quitting. It was just intermission. Like sometimes we have intermission. Whatever it is, like it was just a break in the process, a break in the fight. You got you some water, you went back to your corner. That's why we have different rounds. It was the 12th round. Apparently, this is back in the day and you had 15 to fight. You got back in the fight and you made it through. And so now, I get out and I'm like, dog, what was this for though? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What am I supposed to learn from this? Didn't know. Really didn't know. I was depressed. I was rebelling from God. I was like smoking Black and Mild. I just had a new immune system. I'm out here smoking like 10 Black and Milds a day. I'm not even a smoker, bro. I just started rebelling against him because I was like, yo, you took my good days from me. Now I'm blaming God. He brought me out. I'm blaming him for everything that I've been through until I realized, like, dog, he ain't like you. How you gonna serve a God that gives you cancer? You think he gave you cancer? Like we live in an imperfect world. It just happened. Right. What happens is when life happens, he gives you him to get out. Right. He ain't give you cancer. He gave you him. He said, yo, I know you're going through this, but let's use this to become something greater and we can help the world with it. So now I start bumping into cancer patients and I'm like, hold up, bro. You're not alone. Like that was my whole thing. Like, you're not alone. I got you. I'm here with you. Because when I was in the hospital, like I felt like everybody who was there together, there was no race. There was no evil. Like we didn't care about nothing but surviving. And so when I see somebody, I'm like, I got your back because we relate. And so I was like, I said, so what do we do? Like, what do we do with this? And I was like at an office desk and I'm like, man, I this can't be it for me, bro. I can't be a guy just like answering phone calls. One, I'm a baller. I need to be out athletic doing something. Two, like I'm not alive when I'm here. And so my dog was like, yo, you just need to create your own. I was like, create my own what? And literally I was like, man, I should create something called Dog. Get it all with God. And I was like, it's crazy, right? Right. And so I was and that sat for like a year. And then we had the same conversation. He was like, just create your own. And I was like, man. And then I was like, dog ain't bad. You know what I'm saying? Because if I played football, when I played football, I would love to wear something that said dog across my chest because that's what I was. And then I said, all right, I ended up getting married July 20th, 2018. And then the day before my marriage, the day before the wedding, I went for my 5-year checkup. Doctor was like, I can say that you're fully healed and clear from cancer. I didn't need to hear that, but hearing that was like, it felt good. You know what I'm saying? And so I did that the day before my wedding, and I'm like, man, let's turn up, dog. And so the next year, furlough happens. And I'm like, hold up, bro. You told her pops that you got it from here. The furlough just happened, and now another man is telling you can't get paid. Like, make it make sense. You gotta create your own. I'm like, I'm doing it. I literally started my business in the furlough where I wasn't getting paid for my LLC, pay for my trademark, got my logo, and I was like, this has to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because I cannot allow cancer, man. I cannot allow something external to tell me who I am and who I can become, because now I have no control. I need control over my life. I need to be able to be in a situation where I say, yo, I'm going to my kids' game. I'm going whatever I want to do. I need that control. I can't have you telling me when I can and can't eat. Not only that,
That's right.
I'm helping this lady at my church. I go on my honeymoon. I'm helping this lady at my church. She got cancer, and we going. And I literally, anybody who got cancer, my door is open 24/7. You can call me. I'll pick up. IG people hit me all the time. And she didn't call me when I got back. I was like, "What's up? Like you ain't been, I ain't checked in." She's like, "No, you on your honeymoon, enjoy." I said, "No. Like whatever you need, I got you." Because I understood in those late night hours when everybody's asleep, I understand what the mind can do and the tricks that it can play on you and how you can start talking crazy and like feeling crazy and nobody cares. So I get that. I said, "You call me whenever." She ended up dying, bro, like a month later. And that on top of the furlough, I was like, I got a story that can help people. Nobody else is gonna take an L because I wasn't out here telling it. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe if I would have, been able to tell my story more or what have you, and I'm not a person blaming myself for nothing, but maybe if I was just operating in my purpose, things could have been different. So I said, I will not let anybody else going through whatever they're going through to go through it alone, because I got a story that can change somebody's life, that can actually provide hope, because I believe people are just looking for the hope that they need to get through what they're going through. And if I can tell you, look, bro, I've been there, I've done that, and it's not a death sentence. Like, it don't mean you gotta die just because they said you gotta die. You feel me? And so now my whole job and my whole purpose with dog culture and the things that we do is to show people after you throw up, after the workout, you get pushed to the point where your body says you got so much more in the tank. You got so much more dog in the tank if you just don't quit. If you don't go home when they change your position. If you don't quit because your wife says she done. Like, if you just continue to fight, I don't care, divorce, people dying, you losing job, I don't care what happens, as long as you're willing to fight, you can become what God called you to become, and you can create the life that you want. But you got to understand that you got dog in you too. Like, ain't nobody different out here. It's other people who just willing to go through hell to get the thing that they want. You just got to be willing to go through some hell, bro. And a lot of people aren't willing to go through it because it hurts. It's supposed to hurt, and it's going to hurt even more. Like, you're just feeling some pain. You think you want all these massive things in life and it's just going to be easy? You think the person that you've become today, you've been through so much and you've endured so much. And this person that you are today, that person that you see in the future, you think you're not going to have to go through worse? Because there is a pruning process. And even if you break it down to like the muscle, we're developing muscle of faith, of character, of resolve, of dog. In order for a muscle to grow, it must be broken down. The only way to break it down is to apply pressure. Life is the pressure that we need to build the muscle that takes us to where we want to go. But we're so afraid of the unknown. We're so afraid of the pain associated with the growth that we stop growing because we don't want to feel it. And we don't. And this is why I got to go to the hill on Sunday morning to work out and push myself to the point of no return. This is why I got to wake up at 3 o'clock. This is why I got to take cold showers every day. This is why I got to put myself through so much pain so I can be prepared for what's coming. I know what's required. I know what's required for greatness, bro. I know, because I've been to a place where I thought there was no way out, and then I believed that God could get me out, and then I threw the towel in, and then I got back up, and then ultimately I understood that as long as I'm able to hold on to his word and keep my mind throughout the process, that's why the dog mentality, the mental toughness that it takes to overcome and endure whatever you got to endure to get there, dog. That's why I do what I do. And so from the 7-year-old kid that just wanted to go to the NFL to get cut from the NFL, I'm still in the NFL. You turn the TV on, dog culture in the NFL every Sunday, Thursday, Monday. We was in the Super Bowl last year. We are in the NFL. And here's the thing about the dream. It don't always look the way you expect it to look. It don't always, like that plan that you got, that story that you wrote down, it don't always go that way. But the destination doesn't change. It's the path that changes. And when the path starts to change, that's when we start to change. Like, no, dog, it's working out. It's just going a different route. You just need more than you thought you needed to get there. And so now dog culture exists because of the young kid who just wanted to go to the league, who had to go through all these fears of becoming this person that I wanted to become, but not knowing what was required to get there. And I tell people all the time, I wouldn't trade it in for the world. Right. I wouldn't do it again. Like, I wouldn't be like, yeah, nah, I'm cool. But I would not trade my experience in for the world. They said I couldn't have kids. I got two babies. I got a little girl and a little boy. They said I couldn't have kids after the cancer. Wow. My daughter showed up. Look, they said, and then when we were trying for a year and it wasn't working, they was like, yeah, your count's too low. You might got to do in vitro. I was like, I'm gonna have my kids the natural way. In vitro enough, I said, listen, if we gonna walk by faith, I'm gonna really test the waters. I'm gonna really see what God trying to do for me. I don't want to really do that. You feel me? Like, and so I was like, yeah, I said, I'll set it up, but I believe that we gonna have my baby the natural way. The day before the IVF appointment, my wife walked in crying, talking about I'm pregnant. 18 months later, we pregnant again. She made me get the surgery. She's like, nah, you too fertile. Like, you're too fertile, bro. Like, we good. Boy, girl, we good from here. It does not matter, bro. It does not matter what people say, what the world says, what experience, what the stats say. None of that matters. If people start to really understand, bro, I can unlock so much power. If God said that same power that raised Christ from the dead, if you trying to tell me that you gave me that, nothing with it, you're going to allow the cancer that shows up. I'm not going to allow the divorce. I'm not going to allow the depression to be my stepping stone to unlock the power that God put in me. I'm going to run from it. And that's what we do. We run from the adversity when it's the adversity that unlocks the power.
So say it. Right. Bro, let me just jump in real quick because this is
no doubt.
So I'm like, because there's so much to unpack. Because I'm like, well, I got to get you here in person. We got to, hey, if you hear any noise, downstairs in my basement right now doing my studio right now. Yeah. So I'm going to have to get you here in person. Anyway, everything that you said is confirmation, because everything that you said on the flip side, we was going through with my son, my man. Saying, and it's all about belief, right? It's all about having that faith. There's so many people lack the faith as soon as a challenge comes or as soon as adversity hits. And we think that, like you said earlier, you said, yeah, I'm gonna just leave it to God. Well, you're gonna leave it to God, and then He gonna leave it here too, because if you go ahead and do some work, then what are you expecting? It's almost like, look, we plant the seed, God does the growth. Yeah. Right. And it's almost like the parable of the four soils, right? You got on the footpath, right? You got the footpath, right? And then you got people that's got that thorny soil. Then you got that rocky soil, right? But then you got that good soil, right? And then the people, let me tell people, the difference is that the people that's on the footpath, when the seed is planted, the crows gonna come and they gonna eat that up. That means a word was dropped, but it's not sinking in because your heart is hardened. You're not really believing in everything exactly of what God is doing in your life, right? And then for those that's thorny, you actually take that thing, you believe it for a second, but as soon as a challenge hit, you let that thing go and like, nah, I don't believe. But then the people that rock you, those that's rock, you actually believe it, you start doing it, you see progress, right? But you go deep into that valley, and then you start to give up, right? Mm-hmm. Those that's got the good soil, they let that thing linger, right? The Bible says to write down a vision and make it plain. We oftentimes say that, but what we don't say is that second verse, that third verse is after it. Mm-hmm. So it may linger, right? So it may linger. God's promises all come pass.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
We gotta be in a position to let that thing linger, And I think that we live in a society today that keeps us, from having an impatient mindset, right? We got that instant mindset, that Snapchat, that Instagram, that TikTok. Everything is so snappy and so quick that we're not letting that thing marinate. We're not letting it actually do the manifestation or whatever in us. Not all to be a manifest like let God manifest in you what it is that happened. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, dog, when you was telling your story, man, I got so many questions. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what plays in a role's mind? What plays in your mind? The tricks that are playing on your mind, and so many characters, or not characters, but people in the Bible, came to mind. I thought about Job, right? And she's like, yo, you did all the right things, right? You was right. You was working out. You wasn't having sex. You was doing all the right things, right? Like there was no real blemish right there, right? And then boom, the enemy comes and asks, yo, let me test him. You know what I'm saying? Let me test him real quick. And you got tested. You know what I'm saying? So if you could describe yourself into anybody in the Bible when you was going through your situation, who would it be?
That's good. That's good, bro. I would have to say, so that every time, for some reason, every time I would like turn the TV on or go to church, and I think, people knew, what I was going through, but they kept talking about the woman with the issue of blood, right? And they was like, 10 plus years, she spent all her fortune, yada, yada, woo, woo. But when she heard, you know what I'm saying? And I kept telling folks, I was like, I ain't got 10 years, man. I'm not doing this for 10 years. And I was like 2 years in. I was like, I'm not doing this for 10 years. It's too much. And I got to a point where when I was like, if I live or die, you still good. I was like, it don't matter how long no more. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if it's 20, 30 years. I'm going to endure, bro. And right when she pressed through the crowd, right, I felt like my enduring was the press through. You know what I'm saying? And she pressed through the crowd and touched the hem. He was like, who touched me? He was like, nah, we all touched you. He was like, nah, somebody's faith touched me and it pulled the power of God out of me. And I felt like that was my journey. Like, it's been so long. I've been through so much. We spent whatever dollars doctors said it was nothing else they could do. And now it's like, all right, forget them doctors. Just get to him. Just touch the hem. Like, get to a point where you press through and your faith is strong enough to really believe that it's possible. Just touch the hem. And so my goal in my battle was to like literally touch the hem of his garment with your faith and show him how much you're willing to go through to get the desired outcome. Like, to really believe that this faith walk is a real thing. To really believe that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. To really believe that if you speak to the mount, like, this is your battle. This is your journey. Touch the hem. And I felt like that's the story that I didn't want to hear anymore. But that's also the story that I ended up living out.
Yeah. Oftentimes we get to a point in life where there are just some things that we just don't feel like hearing because we get our feelings, right?
Right.
And I learned something over the weekend. We was in Maryland. My wife and I was in Maryland. And
Maryland.
Amen. Well, we don't have to link. I was at Cove. I was at Sandy Cove.
Okay.
And we was there on a marriage retreat. And what I learned was oftentimes we allow principle to be in the passenger seat while emotions are in the driver's seat.
Yeah, it's tough.
And what needs to happen is there needs to be a switch in the roles, right? Where we need to be standing more on principle rather than emotion.
Yeah.
Because the emotions they're untrustworthy. Right. You could feel great one moment, right? Just like in your story, you can feel great one moment, and in the next moment you back, it's like the symptoms are back. Like, wait a minute, hold on, I thought I was feeling. start to play tricks on you. But if we stand on principle alone, you know what I'm saying? Then therefore, I oftentimes say this. I say when we change the mind, we change the game. Right. And that was one thing that, helped me as a father, dealing with my son while fighting cancer. Now imagine, my son's at the time, my son was 14 months. And we get hit with the news that he's diagnosed with AMKL, Kenneth. I'm just like,
hold on, I lost you for like 10 seconds.
You got me?
You said imagine.
Right here?
Yeah, I got you now.
I said imagine. Imagine, my son Christian, like, me being his father, where we were battling cancer. He was just 14 months at the time. And it's like, 14 months, like my man just started his life. He didn't really start yet. Just like, we still kind of in the mix. And it's like that can literally, like I've seen parents literally lose it because their child at that moment, it's like, I literally just died. God, you gave me him. What's up? Right? You start questioning God and things in that nature. But I'm gonna tell you, bro, like one of the things that I did, and this may bless you as well too for the people that you go see. The one thing that I did when I got the news is I left the room for a second. I didn't cry, I didn't say what was me or anything like that, because I feel like the things that I've been trained for. My father was in the military as well too. My mother, at the age of 10 years old, my mom and dad, their jobs had them leave the home, and I only saw my parents like every 2 to 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? From age of 10 till I was 18, and that prepared me to be the leader that I needed to be. You know what I'm saying? Especially for my little sister. We're 4.5 years apart. So I knew at that moment, okay, leave the room for a second. I oftentimes say this, sometimes you got to remove yourself to improve yourself, right? And the reason why you got to remove yourself from situations, because again, you don't want the emotions to be the driving force of the decisions that you make, the character that may come out. You got people watching you and things like that. You don't want your emotions to then be veered off and everything on them. So I removed myself to go speak to God, and I think that sometimes we get so caught up in be a prisoner of the moment, we get so emotional that we make rash decisions. And then those things, because there's power in the tongue, those things end up playing out because of the emotions. But if we just digress for a second, take a step back, like, all right, hold up. Kenny, what can you do? No, I'm not a doctor. No, I'm not none of that. You know what I'm saying? But I am the priest of my home. You know what I'm saying? I am the leader of my home. I am the leader of my family and things of that nature. So me, I'm a dancer by trade for 20 years. And I ain't do all this dancing for nothing. You know what I'm saying? At the time, I'm thinking I'm supposed to be dancing with like Chris Brown or somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? But God was like, nah, we're going to dance in this hospital room. You know what I'm saying? We're going to dance in this hospital room. We're going to get busy with your son in his hospital room. And lo and behold, bro, doctors are sitting there telling my son that, hey, he's going to be tired. He's going to be weak. All the things that they sitting there telling you. Like, we wasn't trying to hear none of that either. My son ain't never missed a meal. He took his naps on time. You know what I'm saying? None of that. And after the chemo that he was taking, mind you, like, this is a stat here. There's only like 4 or 5 medicines for children. My son was, so 98% of these children that got cancer are taking adult treatment. You know what I'm saying? In their kid body. So my son is getting, a mild dose of chemo, but it's still a lot for his little body.
Right.
He has Down syndrome.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, we just going to hit it. And my son, from round 2 all the way to round 5, he started chopping that thing in half. The doctors never seen nothing like it. And I'm like, they're like, what's going on? What we don't understand. I'm like, listen, I said, hey, we just operate different. Our faith is different. We started dancing at the hospital so much that we became the party room. Like, where the janitors would start, you know what I'm saying? It's about, but it's all about atmosphere, right? So I'm saying all of that to say this. Bishop Michael Pitts, he said, lyrics affect the mind, rhythm affects the will, and the melody affects the emotions. He says, show me what a person is listening to, and I show you their lifestyle. So I'm like, woof. What's so deep is that we consume. The reason why a lot of people are not getting the results that they want is because of what they're allowing in their life, what they're listening, what they're seeing, all these different things. You're allowing the culture, you're allowing society to sit there and play such a big part in your life that you can't even see what God want to do in your life.
Right.
Why? Because there's no room. We're not making room for God to sit there and pour in. So therefore, when I hear your story, bro, it's like, no, you got to a point where listen, let me tell you, I was studying crazy this morning, right? And it reminded me of what Jacob went through, right? Where he was wrestling with God. And he said God was going to give him a blessing, right? And it got to a point where he was isolated, so he had to be left alone, right? B, he got hungry. He wanted God so bad. You know what I'm saying? 3, he got broken. And then 4, he got honest, right? And God pretty much humbled him all the way down, right? And then blessed him. You know what I'm saying? So before the blessing gotta happen, some breaking gotta happen, right? And in order for some breaking to gotta happen, once you're broken, he can then pour in, which now you got dog culture, you know what I'm saying? Because he had to break you down, bro. Literally get you to where you're at now. Man, I just pray that blesses you, right, Kenny? Because it's like all of what you endured and what you've been going through and what you continue to go through, it's like your testimony now is going to be blessing so many people. This is part of the purpose, right?
Yeah.
This is part of you multiplying like the men in the Bible, whatever, you know what I'm saying? When the 3 men that he gave, 5 talents, 3 talents, 1 talent.
Right.
It's like now you're multiplying, what it is. And I just think that's so powerful. My question, because I know we gotta get out of here and everything. I'm gonna have to bring you back on, but the question that I got, right, is when you have this mentality now and you're moving forward in your life, somebody that comes to you, let's just say like you got people that are new diagnosis, don't know what to do, you know what I'm saying? What's the first thing that you telling them before chemo even hit their body?
That's good. It's man, a lot of times, I kind of gotta discern the situation because everybody isn't as receptive to what I got to say. So sometimes I don't say anything. And make sure you can still hear me because it froze a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes, they'll get on the call, but I'll just kind of feel like I'll kind of get the mood and see what's going on and how they want to talk. And sometimes I'll just listen, right? Sometimes I don't say nothing. I just allow them to vent, allow them the space, to talk. And I'll give my 2 cents if I will. But if, let's say, before the chemo, I'll ask them, like, what's your faith like? And even if we don't share the same faith, I believe that there are faith principles, right? And I believe I used to be like, man, how comparison is the thief, right? I used to be like, how so-and-so so blessed and they do all this, like how you blessing them when they do all this crazy stuff? How this person a millionaire when they doing all this? Like, bro, it's principles out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. Like, you would think, right? Evil people or bad people, like, no, they operate in principle. And so when you follow the principle, like, you get the results, or those principles beget the results that people have. And so I try to get them to understand, it's not going to be easy. But it's going to be worth it. And then I try to get them to be like, okay, so like, who you fighting for? Right? And normally it's my kids. And I think sometimes that's all you need, to be honest. Like with my kids, it's like, oh, I'm good. For the rest of my life, I feel like I can endure anything because all I gotta do is put my kids in, and I'll figure it out. But I found out what they're fighting for, and then I figure out, what their belief system is all about. And if you can believe, that you're capable, like I can do this. You know what I'm saying? And I think with God, it makes it all the more better. But even if you're like, because I've had people who are like, yo, we don't believe the same thing, but you blessed me today. Like I had people reach out, we don't believe in the same God, but somehow, some way, I heard your video and I was crying and my spirit was moved. So it's like allow people to see the God in you, but also if there's no, if they don't have that foundation, if they can believe that they're capable, because God is in them, even if they don't know it, they can believe that they're capable. Because I try to tell people, like he said, let us make man in our image. He didn't say like let us make some man in our image. Like we're all made in the image of God. So the things that he does, we can do, once we accept Lord and personal, boom, change my life, change your mind, change your life. But let's change the mind. If you don't know nothing about that, let's change your mind now. Let me just let you know that you can do anything you put your mind to, right? Yeah. So whatever you're about to face, attach your why that you just told me that, you were living for. Attach them to your fight. So when times get tough, if they get tough on you, you can look and say, but I'm fighting for somebody else. Yeah. Like this ain't got nothing to do with me. Like I got to go through this so they can have a better life. I got to go through this and make it out on the other side because my children are going to battle something in life and they need a role model to say, you know what, mommy did it. I seen mommy go face to face with cancer and she didn't lose. You are somebody's superhero. You are somebody's role model and they need you to figure it out. Right. Because I eliminate, we talking faith. We ain't got to talk faith. We ain't got to talk none of that, none of it. Cause you got to meet people where they are. And so let's talk about you. Let's talk about how strong you are. Let me build you up and let you know, yo, you resilient as hell. Like you can get through it. And the reason I know you can get through it is because you got somebody to fight for. Anybody with somebody to fight for can find the strength to do whatever it is they need to do to get through whatever they got to go through. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that first conversation and, I fill them out and I'm literally just here to listen. I don't know it all. And I don't try to help what I got to do, but I want to hear where you are. And I just want to hear, I want to be here if you have nobody to talk to. And you just, let me know how you feel. I was talking to a girl, Misha, man, I was talking to her a couple months ago. She had to get surgery, get some tumors removed. And we just talked for 2 hours. I was just talking to her. Craziest thing, bro. She ended up dying a week later. And I don't know how because she said, man, I feel good. They got her 90% of everything out. I'm just, I made it. And I was like, man, that's what's up. And I don't know if we just needed to have that conversation for 2 hours for her to just tell me about her life, what she was going through, but she was in great spirits. And I feel like sometimes we try to be the solution and we don't even know the problem. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to be the solution if you don't want me to be. Yeah. You might just want me to listen because nobody else will. So I just make sure before I talk to anybody, I just pray. All right, God, however you want this to go, just make sure, I'm the vessel and I do it the right way and I get me out the equation. I ain't tripping off me, man. Even some of the videos I've been putting out lately, I'm I don't know how that's going. People might not. I just be it ain't about you or people. Somebody need to hear it. The way it come out.
Yeah.
So
it's funny you say that because a lot of times I do that as well. I sit there and I look back after, I've already done the video. I don't know if this is going to be received well. But you know what I mean? It's the truth. You know what I'm saying? My wife is more of she more slick with the sword than I am. You know what I mean? She more if I had to describe her like anybody, she more like a Peter. You know
right.
She's a dove or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, let something go down, she's gonna be that one. You know what I mean? Oh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I get that, yo. Like I love the fact that what you're doing, what you've endured, you never quit, you never gave up. You know what I'm saying? You actually went through it. I oftentimes say that storms are going to come to people no matter what, right? But you're either going to run away from the storm or you're going to run towards the storm. Because if you go towards that storm, that thing going to pass over eventually, right? Run away from the storm is going to continue to follow you over and over and over again. So you might as well go ahead and go face that storm and go rock with it and everything. Have that duel and know that God's got his army around you. You'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Amen. Listen, bro, I want you to go ahead and shout out, you know what I'm saying? Where can the people find you? You know, how can they link up with you? Things of that nature. I definitely would love to have you back on more of an in-person type of thing if you're down to do that. Because we still got so much more to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Happening because of the time and everything right now. But yeah, go ahead and shout out wherever, you know, people can go ahead and find you and yeah, let them know.
No doubt. So we're on the social media platforms at Dog Culture. My God. It's at DAWG_culture. That's on IG, TikTok, Facebook, what's the other one? Instagram, Twitter. Also, you can email us at info@dogculture.com. We had some leadership programs that we've been running Saturday mornings. Right now, we've been working with some football players and the football teams that we're working with. But a lot of youth, coaches, teachers reach out to me. They want something that can empower the next generation and get them to start thinking differently. Tell people, like, man, I start thinking for myself. I'm 38. I realized, like, yo, I've been thinking the way I was taught. Like, even after the battle with cancer, my mindset shifted to do anything. But the way I thought about life, even with like the school system, finances, like all that was what I was taught. And now that I'm thinking different, I'm like, oh, there's so much out here that is mine, but I never knew how to get it. You know what I'm saying? I was told that, you know, prosperity is mine, healing is mine, a better life. We got streets of gold up top, like heaven on earth. Like, we need that here. I was told, but now it's like understanding how to think, how to educate myself. Now we starting to unlock the doors to the lifestyle that we deserve to live, as opposed to this controlling society to say, hey, these are the steps that you follow. So my kids, no, you got to give. Oh, you got a trust fund too. So what you want to do when you grow up? All right. So now this is the path that you need to take. You don't have to follow a system, the whole debt. Like, we ain't gonna get in all of that. But we got leadership programs for the young adults, and you can email info@dogculture.com, and my team will reach out and we can set something up. I'm also a lot of people have been asking me, man, like to do some coaching. Like when you said that earlier, I just don't necessarily know what that looked like. So maybe we can talk about, you know, how to get that started. Because I'm eager to like really starting to get into that field of just, you know, helping as many people as I can. Because I turn a lot of people away because, you know, we don't have all the systems in place, just being full transparent. But, you know, we also do like uniform apparels and football. So it's like a two-headed monster.
Okay.
But yeah.
Let's wrap it up when we get offline real quick. I can give you something and everything. You know what I'm saying? Once we get offline real fast.
That works. But yeah, man, reach out at dog _culture on social media. Info@dogculture. If you want to reach out via email, dogculture.com. If you want some dog gear, so you can wear the gear that represent who you are. And if you know anybody battling cancer, man, send them to the page, send them a video, tell them to DM. I'm here, man, 24/7. I promise you, I get up early and I go to sleep, you know, like 9, 10 o'clock. So I'm always available almost. So yeah, man, I'm here for the people.
Let's go. Listen, everybody, my man Mike Hill, make sure y'all get with him. And you said something that was dope, unlocking them keys. Really, I thought that I leave it here and I bless everybody with this quick story. a couple years ago, I was in the shop, right, going to, get food and everything for the family. I come out to the parking lot, and I came to the parking lot and everything. This is like around COVID, and I saw this elderly lady. She had locked her keys in the car. Window was cracked, scorching hot, probably like 98 degrees outside. And I said, you know what, forget all the, the social distancing and stuff.
Whoa.
Help this lady, right?
Whoa.
I'll go over to her, and I see that, I see where her keys are at, and, the crack wasn't bust so big. So, how we do back in the day, we go ahead and try and pick the lock, wire, right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing it, and then I get an OG that comes over, and he sees exactly what I'm trying to do. He comes over, he tries to help me out. If anybody like receive this word right here, no matter what you're going through, what I'm saying, there's always going to be some backup and everything for you. Somebody's always going to be around, no matter who they are, right? So anyway, sitting there, and we trying to pick the lock and everything, and I said, I didn't, and actually, technically, at first, I didn't even really see the keys. And so I saw them. I said, man, wait a minute now. Maybe I could scoop the keys up, and hook them versus trying to pick the lock open. Because taking like 15, 20 minutes trying to pick the lock, sweating, scorching. So I said, you know what? Hold on. Let me just go ahead and put it was enough. The window was open wide enough where I can get the actual, hanger all the way in. I try to swoop the keys up from the hook. Man, that joint took me about 10 seconds to hook. Yeah. And as I'm pulling these keys out, I heard a guy just give it to me. He's like, yo, Kenny, stop trying to pick locks and open doors that I already gave you the keys to.
Yeah.
And it's like, we try to struggle so much trying to pick these locks and trying to figure it out. Yeah. All you really got to do is just hook them bad boys, because the window was already cracked. It's already open. Just pull them out, open that door. He left it for you. He left it for you for a reason. You know what I'm saying? We're in plain sight that you can actually see it. So it's not that difficult. We just make it harder than what it is. And, oftentimes complexity is the enemy of success. So, with that being said, y'all go ahead and take that. It's Unshakable Conversations. Kenneth Thomas, my man, Mike Hill, Dog Culture. Listen, brother, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing and everything that you're doing. We're going to chop it up a little bit offline, but I want to make sure that everybody go ahead and like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Listen, yesterday is gone, y'all. Tomorrow, worry about itself. And today is all we got. And today is all we got. You make sure you go ahead and impact today the best way you know how. Remember, we changed the mind, y'all. We changed the game, all right? Make sure you share this with a friend. If this is not your cup of tea, share it with somebody that you know, because guess what? Somebody going to need this anyway, all right? One love. I see y'all later. Here we go with the drop.
You are now listening to another
Unshakable Conversation
with Kenneth Thomas.
Boom. See y'all later. One love.
Peace.